All right, so let me get started then. So the first comment is welcome. Welcome to our virtual open day for this MRes Cancer Biology course. We are, several people at Imperial College here are involved in delivering this course. There's myself, James Flanagan. We've got Emma Richardson, who's the admin for this course. We've got Annabelle, Ernesto, Elena, Lee, who's going to be talking a little bit later about a new stream that we're launching. And we've got Kirill and Mark, who are both leads for the Cancer Informatics stream. So let's start off with the deadlines. If you're interested in applying for this course, we run our applications in batches. So we do the first deadline this year, that's the 26th of November. The second deadline is the 31st of January. The third deadline is the 24th of March, and the fourth deadline is the 31st of May. We do these in batches so that we can assess all of the admission applications and then run interviews for our applicants in a coordinated fashion. The interviews are usually around about 2 weeks after the deadline, but any applicant that's invited for interview gets their invitation to that interview about a week in advance. We always encourage students to apply for the earliest deadline that you can, because that simply gives you the best chance of getting an offer. We typically give out about 70% of offers for the course in the first deadline. And the second deadline, you're talking 90% of offers for the course have gone out by the time we get to the second deadline. So if you want to have the best chance, you've got to be in one of those first two deadlines. The minimum requirement for students is a 2-1 in an appropriate subject. Now, you may want to ask, what is an appropriate subject? Anything related to biology, obviously anything related to cancer biology, but many topics are relevant. We've had people who've done zoology or pharmacy or various other topics that are related to health. So yes, so there's lots of, and also actually in computational biology, you might have done a computing degree that might be relevant for that stream. So what is an MRes degree? I always like to talk about the difference between an MRes and an MSc, just so everybody's clear. When you're applying for this course, you're applying for a course that focuses on research. The majority of the alumni for this course go on to do a PhD or go on to other things, career paths. You might hear from Sarah in a little while what she's gone on to do after this course. I also like to remind you that this is a postgraduate degree now, and the impetus and the responsibility for learning is on you, the student. We expect the students to take the reins in what you're learning. You only learn what you put in. So it's really your responsibility. Course structure has changed. For the next academic year, we've got a new stream called Cancer Innovation, which Ali will tell you about shortly. Previously, we've had Cancer Biology stream. If you're on that stream, you're going to be doing wet lab projects. Then we've got the Cancer Informatics stream. These projects are generally bioinformatics, computational projects. And Cancer Innovation, as I said, you'll hear about from Ali. All students do Module 1 together, where we have about 4 weeks of cancer biology teaching. This includes lectures and workshops and various tasks that students complete together. Then Module 2, each stream splits up into their individual groups and do stream-specific workshops. So CB students train on experimental design and techniques. The informatics students spend 3.5 weeks learning how to do bioinformatics. And then after that, you go into your project. So you have one project that goes from December to September. It's about 10 months. The majority of projects are at Imperial College, but some students also go to the Francis Crick Institute, to the ICR or UCL or various other places around London. Now, here is where you have to use Mentimeter. So if you haven't already joined to Mentimeter, that's the code. You go to menti.com and put in that code here. And the question is, which stream are you interested in? We often get various mix. Obviously, not many people will, I was going to say not many people will know about innovation or what that means yet. But there's a few of you that are interested in that already. This gives us a bit of an idea of who we're talking about and who we're going to be receiving questions from. Let's leave that open for a minute or so. There's one person not sure. Interesting. I hope you ask a question so we can help you become more sure about what stream you're interested in. All right. That's not moving much anymore. We've got about 16 responses. Not surprising, the majority is cancer biology. There's a very large interest in that stream. I'm already aware of that. So that gives you an idea of where everybody's at. That's good. All right. So the other things to tell you about with this course are the assessments for this course. So we do something called authentic assessments. These are designed to train you for the things that you need to do as a scientist. So for instance, you will need to give an oral presentation on a scientific topic. We give talks all the time as scientists, so you need to be trained in how to do that. We ask you to complete a lay video. This is a video where you present a complex scientific topic to a lay audience. Again, this is something that we as scientists need to do all the time to talk to the public about our research. Then for informatics, we've got a coding assignment. For CB, we've got critical reviews, where you review a paper, and experimental design, where you need to design the experiments you're going to be using in your project. We also have poster presentations. Again, as a scientist, you go to conferences, you will be presenting posters, so you need to learn how to do that. And I'm afraid to say, if you're going into an academic career, you will spend a lot of your time writing grants. And so one of our tasks is a mock grant application. And then you've got your thesis and viva, which is not too dissimilar to, say, doing a PhD thesis and viva, only they're a lot shorter. Module 1, I mentioned this before, the teaching. You're not actually assessed on the lectures, but the purpose of these are to give everybody a baseline in cancer biology knowledge, and also to give you an opportunity to hear from many of the Imperial academics that might be supervising projects. The formats are varied. You might have some pre-recorded lectures, some live lectures, some sort of live workshops, and just discussions, really. So we try to vary the format for each of these sessions. Module 2, as I mentioned before, you're splitting into your stream-specific groups, and cancer biology and informatics, as I said before, have their specific training for this module, and the specific assessments as well. One of the questions that we get most often, I thought I would answer immediately, is how do we allocate projects? So there is 2 ways in which you can be allocated a project. One is through the project list. This is where we ask all of the academics that are involved in the course to submit a project or several projects to the project list. And then students receive that list, they talk to the supervisors, they decide which ones are their favourites, and then they rank the top 6 projects that they're interested in. And then we try and allocate all the students to one of their top 1 or 2 projects. In the last rounds, we've been fairly successful in getting about 70 to 80% of students into their first or second choice projects. The other way to get a project is what we call a bespoke project. So this is where students identify a group and a group leader that they're interested in working with, and they design a project together with them. They ask them if they're willing to host that project, and if they are willing, you just design a project together, and then that project gets allocated to you directly, as long as it gets approved by the course. Here is another Menti question for you. If you were on this course and you wanted to do a project in a particular topic in cancer, what would you be interested in? Let's see if you can think of any topics in cancer that you might be interested in studying. See if there's anyone who can write some answers. Immunology, I am really not surprised to see that. This is a word cloud, so we'll get different things coming up. CRISPR, if people write the same thing twice, cancer stem cells. We've had several projects on CRISPR epigenetics effects. This is excellent. This is my topic of research. I'm very pleased when I see that. So hematology is an interesting one. In our division of cancer, we don't have many hematology projects, but we do have an entire department at Imperial College that is for hematology, and there's a hemonc group there. And so there's no reason you couldn't get projects through that division as well. What else we've got? Gene therapy prevention, that's exciting to see. It's another area of research that I'm involved in. Myelodysplasia, cancer immunology, gene therapy. Yeah, so immunotherapy and cancer immunology is a really hot topic. And I know from doing interviews for applicants to this course a lot of times now, it's a very common topic for people to say they're interested in. So we're always on the lookout for more projects in cancer immunology. And we're growing that in the division at the moment. All right, I'll leave that there and move on. We also have some social events for the course. We often have post-module parties. We've started something this year. We're testing it out. As a request from last year's students was to include debates as a social event for the course. So we've allocated our students into different teams, and we've given them oppositions to debate, and we will see in December how that works out. We also do these coffee morning drop-in sessions where we provide coffee and you can come in and talk to us as the course leads or the admin if you've got anything to discuss. And then as, of course, student-led social activities, we usually have student representatives for the course, and usually it's the student reps that organise social activities for students as well. Once you do graduate, there are prizes. It's always worth knowing this. There's a Faculty of Medicine Dean's Prize. So for each stream in the course, the student that gets the highest average distinction mark gets the Dean's Prize. That's a £200 voucher, a note on their transcript, and they also get called out at graduation. We also have a Best Poster and Best Video Presentation Awards as well, where we'll give out some Amazon gift vouchers. So I'm going to finish there. I've got some email addresses of all of us who are involved. And at this point, I'm going to hand over to Ali, who's going to tell you a little bit more about cancer innovation, which is a new stream for this course. Ali, over to you.
Thanks, James. Host has disabled screen sharing, so I wondered if I could be given presentation rights.
How can I do that? Make a co-host. There you go.
Thank you. Here we go. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Excellent. So welcome everyone. My name's Ali, and I'm really excited to talk to you about our new module or stream in the cancer biology family, called cancer innovation. And through a couple of slides, we're going to learn what we'd like to achieve in the stream alongside the other streams. So we're slowly winning the fight on cancer. In terms of detection, the incidence of detection is improving all the time. In terms of being able to understand the progression of that cancer and even avoid certain cancers through healthy lifestyle choices, vaccines, we've become quite successful in minimizing incidence rates for particular cases. Now, in terms of whether cancer remains a major burden or not, it certainly does. According to a landmark review in The Lancet in 2014, many cancers have seen little or no change in survival over the last 40 years. Our healthcare systems are stressed and overloaded, and our clinicians and pathologists don't have the tools to know which therapy may be most effective for their patients. And the promise of personalized medicine is still largely out of reach. So today's challenges require speed, scale, and skills like never before. So our mission is to shape the workforce to solve cancer grand challenges, to empower students like yourself, to break traditional boundaries, to work across engineering, science, medicine, and to train driven, commercially minded scientists. Now, our course sits at the heart of a captivating innovation ecosystem. We're plugged into a network of world-leading academics, researchers, entrepreneurs, and innovation leaders. So, for example, here in West London, the Centre of Translational Medicine on the Hammersmith campus is key to fundamental research in cancer biology. The translation and innovation hubs, the iHub and the Scale Space, are home to over 50 natural science startups and medtech companies with which we do research. And the invention rooms are home to the Advanced Hackspace, a rapid manufacturing and prototyping facility that helps bring inventive minds across the college to collaborate, experiment, and innovate. An MRes in cancer innovation is a gateway to making a difference in research and entrepreneurial ventures related to cancer. With this stream, you'll learn at the forefront of cancer innovation with a focus on real-world applications. Alongside the other streams, you'll build your understanding of cancer biology and learn to translate and communicate new science and technologies to new audiences. And you'll immerse yourself in a multidisciplinary research environment with a focused research project in world-leading labs. So alongside core training in cancer biology, we've developed a bespoke, targeted program for our cancer innovation students. With Hack Cancer, you will turn ideas into reality in a makerspace environment. You'll develop skills in rapid prototyping and analytical measurement science that you will then apply in your research. So through a lab project, you'll construct and test a 3D printable adjustable micropipette that meets ISO standards for accuracy. You'll compare that, and this is over a few weeks, you will learn how to build and characterize and quality control it. You'll compare that to a commercially bought micropipette and even robotic or pipetting robots. With Cancer Foresight, you will learn how to horizon scan current and near future capabilities for a cancer technology. Understanding how a technology may be translated from basic science all the way to real-world impact is crucial if we want to drive real-world impact. So you'll learn how to perform trend impact analysis, to methodologically extrapolate these capabilities into future landscapes, and that can shape how your research is conducted. You'll write a report to assess the commercial viability of cancer research, a particular component, and define a roadmap for its translation. That can be science in the field, in the department, or even research that you're going to conduct in your research project itself. And with Accelerator Pitch, you'll learn how to communicate scientific ideas to commercial audiences. To translate and drive real-world impact requires you to learn how to communicate with many different stakeholders. And through a pitch, you will assess the commercial viability of a cancer technology and develop a pitch for investment. Now, like the other cancer biology streams, we offer a sector-leading 10-month collaborative multidisciplinary research project. So you will experience hands-on research, clinical exposure, and community engagement. 10 months of focus in your research project provides you the time to develop meaningful cross-disciplinary expertise to work on exciting challenges at the interface of science, technology, and medicine. The course is targeted toward innovation, translation, and the commercialization research. So it's only naturally that in your research project, you will have the opportunity to work with our industrial partners. You will experience real-world research across academic and commercial environments with spin-outs of Imperial and other industrial collaborators. Now, like most MRes projects, your project will culminate in a thesis. But unlike other programs, we wish to draw on the knowledge we've learned in cancer innovation. And so we're going to enhance the research, the traditional research thesis. So a cancer research innovation thesis integrates those skills and embeds the innovation in your science. Your report will absolutely be focused on the fundamental science and reporting the fundamental science that you've engaged in over your 10 months, as well as integrating an assessment of the project's translatability and proposing a development roadmap. Now, we believe only with bright minds working together and thinking differently with these challenges that have so far remained elusive and out of reach become solvable. And we hope you believe that can be achieved through an MRes in cancer biology, whichever stream you choose. So thanks for joining us. And we hope you will join us. If you're interested in learning more, please get in touch. Thank you.
Thanks, Ali. So I see we've got Kirill here as well as Sarah. I think before we come to Sarah, can we get Kirill just give us a few comments on the cancer informatics stream?
Yeah, sure. Welcome everybody, Ali, James. Thank you for your wonderful presentations. I think you covered really well the cancer biology and partially cancer informatics aspects. Here, I just want to emphasize that on cancer informatics, we have a very extensive 4 weeks of training where we teach the foundations of R, Python, statistical analysis, multi-omics data analysis, and also machine learning and artificial intelligence and natural language processing tools, which are currently quite popular in everywhere, actually. So it would build you a transferable skill set that you can apply later on in your life if you decide to stay in research or pursue a career in industry. After that, I just want to emphasize what James said as well, that we welcome students both with the background in biology and also with the background in quantitative sciences. So both are welcome, and we will tailor the sessions accordingly. So you don't necessarily need to have a prior coding experience, although that would be definitely of advantage. And as for the projects, we have a broad range of projects from, for example, network biology to integrate multi-omics data sets, for example, to enhance mechanistic understanding of, say, gastrointestinal metaplasia, or it can be applying deep learning tools using imaging data to predict cancer outcomes. So yes, I just want to emphasize once again, we have a wonderful team of people. Mark is here as well, and we have a broad support in the division and department as well. And we have a broad portfolio of projects for cancer informatics. And yes, please do consider, I think biology becoming more and more quantitative science. It generates currently the data on a scale comparable, for example, with the social networks, and they need to be analyzed. So please consider.
All right, thanks, Kirill. So now we come to Sarah. Sarah Susi is a former student on the cancer informatics stream of the cancer biology course. And I invited her along to talk a little bit about her experience. So Sarah, if you can unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about your background before joining the course and why you chose this course.
Sure. So hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm a bit different to the rest of the cancer informatics ones because I had a mathematics degree from work before joining. I think I was the only one that was kind of more computational, numerical in my cohort at least. The reason why I joined this MRes as opposed to another master's was I was already kind of computational, done a summer course at UCL with computational biology. So I wanted to get kind of hands-on with the research and wanted to actually test the researchers for me. What I found when talking to other people that done masters is, well, they only had like a 3-month summer research project, and then they weren't really sure if they want to go down the PhD route or not. So it'd be kind of good to have like 10 months of hands-on research. It would be 2 projects as well, so you can see different stuff, gain different skills, and also work with different people. So I think that's what really attracted me to this master's, is there's a lot of variety of what one could do and flexibility as well.
Okay. And what did you enjoy about being on the course?
Oh, I think it just that we had quite a lot of autonomy as well. I think I was impacted by COVID sadly, so everyone was like at their houses working. So I didn't really get to experience the lab part of being next to someone like your PI and working with them. But what I liked, I had autonomy to try different things out. If I had an idea, I could test it out, improve computationally. It wasn't very much like a homework task. Okay, week 1, you need to do A. Week 2, you need to do B. I felt like I could develop myself as well.
Okay. And can you give the students here an idea of what you did after this course? Where have you gone next?
Yes, I think in this part as well, I'm a bit different. So I'm doing a few things. So I joined the Big Four, Ernst & Young, and I'm doing a data science kind of consulting under healthcare and life sciences. So a lot of go-to-market strategy, helping the NHS, even working with like Genomics England, big healthcare exchange. So I'm using everything that I learned and my research background within my work, but also seeing how the actual world works outside of academia. Outside of that, also hold fellowships with King's College London and UCL. So I do get to do my research on the side. I kind of see it as my hobby. So I did get a bit of best of both worlds. Everything is still within healthcare. What I learned both research-wise, skill-wise, they're continuing developing. So it definitely did equip me very well and made me a bit of a like subject matter expert. And it did indeed help me get promoted much faster than the other people because I had sector knowledge in genomics, a lot of healthcare, and also had the technical background.
Okay, and were you tempted to go on and do a PhD afterwards?
I did have an offer, but I wanted to try to work. I thought it would be easier to return to a PhD rather than start a PhD and then realizing what kind of want to go to work. So not that being said, doesn't mean you can't do both at the same time or like reverse them. Like there's no set path for anyone.
Yeah, and I think that's a good illustration that a lot of people think going into a PhD after a master's is the only way to go. But I think you're a perfect example that that's not the case. All right. So I'm going to share my screen again. And we're going to move on to questions. Let me know if you can see that screen. You all see that screen? No? Share. Now. Yes. All right, good. So this is Mentimeter again. If you haven't seen before, the Menti code is 32488095. So if any of the students here have a question, you can either type it into Mentimeter, or if you want to unmute yourself, you can just do that and ask your question, or you can use the chat in Zoom. I will need to have someone monitoring that chat if there are any questions and letting me know. So first question we've got, where can I find a list of projects for the cancer biology stream? So here's the thing, you can't. We don't present you a list for your project until just about when you're starting your course, actually. So let's imagine you're starting in October of this year. Around about June of this year, we're going to be asking group leaders, to start submitting projects to that project list. And around about September, that list is hopefully finalised and completed, and then we send it to the students for your perusal. We often leave it open as late as possible to get as many projects as possible. And so you may only get it a day or a week before you start the course. The reason we do that is research moves very quickly. So if I was to tell you a project list now, a year from now, that might not be relevant. That research might have already been done, or the research groups have moved on to new areas. So we've got to be right on the top of what the most, the most recent research that people are doing. What you can do, however, is start looking at the group leaders. For instance, there's the Division of Cancer at Imperial College. If you look at our Division of Cancer webpage and look at all the group leaders, you can click on each of the group leaders and learn a little bit about their research, read their papers. And, if you look at the Crick Institute or the ICR and find those group leaders and read their papers, if you do that, you'll get a good sense of what research is going on that you might be getting involved in. So I think that's the best way to really find out what the projects are going to be like. Right, there's more questions. Enter markers. Where can I find the next question? Here we go. Oh, I think there was a question. Oh, yeah, this was the first question someone asked. What will the interview be like? Will it be based on a research paper? No, it's not. We typically don't tell students what the interview questions are, mostly because we want unprepared answers. We want you to just talk about the things that you've had experience in. To give you an example, we ask you what previous research you've done. So be prepared to talk about any research projects. We will be interested in knowing what research topics you're interested in, similar to what I asked earlier. And various other questions like that. So we just want to have a conversation and find out what it is you're really interested in. So that's basically what the interviews are for. There's no examination or anything like that in the interviews. So I've answered, how do you structure the personal statement? This is another good question. Are there things that we're specifically looking for? I might ask some of the others. Kirill might be able to comment on this as well, but I'll just give you my view. So the personal statement, I'm looking for several things. One, do you have an interest and a passion for cancer biology, cancer research? That needs to come across somehow. Have you got previous experience in cancer research? Give us examples of what your previous research experience is. Give us examples of what topics you're interested in. Do a little bit of background reading in the Division of Cancer or particular research groups and find out what groups you might be interested in working with. If you've already come in with your personal statement saying, I'm really interested in breast cancer research, and I know there's groups like Simak Ali and Charles Coombs and various other people in our division that are working in this area, and I'd be really keen to work with them because of this paper they published or this type of research or this new drug they're developing. If you come in with that level of knowledge, your personal statement's going to look really good. I'm not sure. Do you want to add anything to that, Kirill? You've looked at a lot of these personal statements.
I think you've answered it really well. I just wanted to say that your personal story as well, I mean, why you decided to take the course and why you're interested in the course and your personal story. How did you ended up actually applying to it? I think it's really, really important. And of course, that usually involves some past experience, at least for the cancer informatics stream, for sure. So so that's a general guidance.
Annabelle, I see you want to have your word as well. You've read a lot of these personal statements.
Yeah, apologies for being late. I was actually assessing students. So what I would say is, even if you don't have relevant experience in cancer research, a lot of the skills from other sort of research that you may have done are transferable. So don't think just because you've done research in a different field or in a different area, that's not valid. That is also of interest to us.
All right, good. I will say, just in case it's not obvious, if you've got any questions specifically for Sarah as a former student, feel free to ask those as well, since she is here. Right, let's go through this. How big is the course usually? Normally at the moment, it's about 50 students. So we've got about 35, 36 on the, I think it's actually 38 on the cancer biology stream and 11 on cancer informatics at the moment. Those numbers are going to slightly go up for next year. We're looking for cancer innovation. We're looking for around about 6 students. This is the first year we're running this, so we're going to keep that fairly small. So in total, in the next academic year, we're looking at around about 60 students total. Oh, how many places? Yes, how many places available? The number. Oops, meant to be. So let's go with this. Do you need to submit a CV? Yes, you do. I think that's part of the application form. They ask as one of the separate upload documents is your CV. I'm a biochemist, computational biology. Is that a disadvantage? No, it's not. If you're applying for cancer informatics and you've done a cancer biology project, that's going to be a plus, actually. I think it's always good to have previous experience in this when you're coming in. So that's certainly not a disadvantage. And I will say, just with regards to COVID, I know through undergraduates over the last few years, we've seen quite a few students missing out on an opportunity to do wet lab projects. And so there have been a lot more computational projects coming through, and that's not a disadvantage at all. I think when you're talking about your research projects, it doesn't necessarily matter what methods you've used. It's about how you've thought about your problem, what's your hypothesis, how did you test it, and how did you push your research forward. It doesn't necessarily matter what type of research it was. How much lab experience is required? For the cancer biology stream, we usually look for students that have had 2 different research experiences, usually an undergraduate project, sometimes an internship, sometimes multiple projects that you've done throughout your undergraduate course. But if you don't have, significant experience, you talk about the experience you do have. It's not necessarily a disadvantage when we're looking at admissions. Are there scholarships for overseas students? This I'm not sure about. You need to look at the Imperial College website. There is a website for scholarships. I don't believe there are many for master's courses, not coming from Imperial, but more likely coming from your own governments or local scholarships that you can apply for. I've seen those, but I'm not sure if anyone else, Kirill or Annabelle, do you know of any other scholarships that are available to these students?
I know more for PhDs. I would have to double check for the MRes. That's something that we can answer in a bit more detail afterwards. But I think it's more your home country rather than here. But we'd have to double check. Nothing jumps out at me.
Yes, the same for me. I know quite a few for PhD overseas scholarships, but not for MRes level. I also would need double check from my end.
Yeah, so I recommend looking at your own government or local opportunities for scholarships. How long has the course been running? Oh God, how old am I? I don't know. I know cancer informatics stream has been running since 2014 because I designed it and started it. The cancer biology course, MRes, I think has been going since about 2009, maybe earlier.
I think 2004 actually. So it's
2004. Okay. I joined Imperial in 2009, so that's as far back as my memory goes. Kirill, you might have even done this course. I don't know.
I've looked through the CV of Olivia, who actually set it up with Ernest. I think.
Right.
I think
so let's say it's coming up on 20 years. This course has been running. What percentage of people get an interview? So we interview all of the applicants that we're hoping to make an offer to. So it's hard to put a percentage on how many applicants, when we look at applications, how many get rejected, how many get an offer. It's hard to kind of put a number on that. But let's say 50%, 60%, something like that, 70% sometimes. It really depends on the batch where we're up to. So early on, in the early batches, we're offering more. Later on, the percentage decreases. Oops, I did that again. Let's go to the next question. Slightly worried about not having much coding experience. Can I just say, don't be worried. We do train, in fact, I teach the very first week of cancer informatics, and we teach it from the ground up for people who've never done coding before. So I take you from having never done coding, and within a week, you can do your cancer informatics assignment. And I've just asked some of my students this morning, I ran into them on the bus, similar situation, never done coding before, and after that week, are able to do their assignment. And I asked them, do they feel confident that they can do their assignment? They said yes. So yeah, we teach you from the ground up, so don't be worried. I think that's the simplest thing to say. Can you apply for multiple streams? No, you cannot. You need to pick which stream you're interested in and apply for that one specifically, because there are different criteria, different admissions criteria for each stream. How many places are available for projects outside Imperial? That really depends on how many projects are offered from outside Imperial. Typically, I'm just trying to think of the last round, we've had about 10 out of about 38 projects outside of Imperial at the Crick and ICR and places like that. So my computer's telling me to stop talking soon. Let's quickly go through some of these. Necessary to contact supervisors before? No, it's not. You apply, you get a place on the course, an offer, you accept that offer, you pay your deposit, you know you're coming. At that point, if you're really interested in a bespoke project for your research project, you could start contacting supervisors at that point to say you're interested in doing a project with them. Can you ask Sarah what her process was like looking for a job after Masters? Sarah, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so my corporate job was pretty much applications, the typical stuff. So LinkedIn, company websites. Being from a maths background, I more or less knew whatever it was in corporate that I could apply to. So my advice would be, don't just hang out with people of your own degree. It helps to broaden up because also your network down the line. And then for my research stuff, was based on collaborations that I just built on. So they offered me the fellowships. But yeah,
Nice.
It's a long journey to get the job. It's not easy, especially the first one. But it's like a numbers game, in all honesty.
Okay, good. Is there a possibility of combining wet lab and computational projects? So normally with the wet lab projects, if you're on the CB stream, we don't provide the informatics training specifically, but we can give you some of that training material to learn yourself. So in your wet lab project, if it comes an opportunity to analyze your own data, we recommend you learn how to do it yourself. Typically, your lab would teach you how to do that, but we can provide training for that. The flip side, if you're doing a computational project in informatics, we've normally said not to do much wet lab projects. Maybe if there's, in a 10-month project, if you've got 1 month of research that's wet lab research, where you do your big computational project and then you want to validate something in the lab, that's allowed. So we can do that. But we wouldn't necessarily do like a half and half kind of project. I have a degree that doesn't have honours, however, I've been working clinical. Would you have an equal chance as someone who's upper class? Yes, I think so. I think it's sometimes difficult to judge CVs, but if the CV and personal statement and everything else looks like you're a student we'd like to offer to, then you'll get that opportunity. And then you can dazzle us with your clinical experience in the interview. I think, I don't think that's necessarily going to be a problem. Real world output, what are the differences between biology and innovation streams? So, Ali, are you still there? Do you want to comment on what you see as the differences between a cancer biology project and an innovation project?
Absolutely, and I think the type of project you might engage with. So, for example, with partners such as spin-outs, SMEs, that have either originated from Imperial or are external, or some of our larger college collaborators. I think that's important because translation, basic science developed in a vacuum is good. However, when it has this additional stipulation of being able to be translated out of the lab into a clinical environment at the national level, driving patient change, it becomes more difficult from a basic science perspective. In terms of the training that we do in the first term, that is very much focused on how you learn how to communicate these your science to commercial audiences. Now, as part of the wider cancer biology MRes, you will be engaging with modules that will develop your communication to lay audiences, patients, other scientific fields. This is very specific in developing that language that a commercial audience, investors, funders will need to, how they will need to understand your science and how you translate that from basic research and beyond. And I think the focus, ultimately what we want to get you thinking in that first term is, and this is where it comes down to working in that hack space environment, is if something that's needed for your research doesn't exist in the lab, or often with cutting edge research doesn't exist commercially, well, then you're developing the skills to build it yourself, right? So people in my lab, yes, we most of our work is in cancer biology and wet labs, but the people that come and engage with us have to integrate programming, prototype development, image analysis, high content microscopy, microfabrication, lots of different things being integrated. You have to work across many different disciplines. So I think those are the key aspects that differ or make the cancer innovation stream slightly different to the cancer biology stream.
Yeah, and you know, this is a new venture for us, so we will see how it turns out, I guess. And hopefully we'll see some really exciting new things that we haven't seen before.
Can I add to that, Jid? So I've been, I'm a director in the Institute of Molecular Sciences course in molecular engineering, and all of our projects are across, are with spin-out ventures. What's really important to our students there, and I think will become important to our cancer innovation students, is that opportunity to work in different environments, but also as a way to understand what, you know, it's a good approach for, you know, employment after your MRes.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to see where the people that do innovation go on to after their jobs, whether they go and spin out companies and become bazillionaires. I don't know. We'll see. We've got a question here. Is it beneficial doing an MRes rather than going straight into a PhD? So PhD opportunities are becoming more and more competitive. So if you're going in without a master's versus other people that have already got a master's, you might find it challenging to get those PhD offers. But if you do get a PhD offer without having done a master's, then you know you're well ahead of everybody else. So I think it is beneficial to do a master's. First of all, you get that 1 year experience in the lab, and I can tell you some people get their experience in the lab and realize, oh, this is not for me. And they go on and do something else, and they don't want to do a PhD. I think you've heard from Sarah, who that was certainly the case, although she may come back. We might get her back. Annabelle, you want to add to that? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah.
Someone had to do it.
No. What I would say, it's also the other soft skills and transferable skills that you might not have directly after doing your degree. Those are really important. So it's not necessarily about going on to a PhD. You're just as likely maybe to discover you don't want to do a PhD, but you have those soft skills, those transferable skills, how to speak to different audiences, how to write scientifically and how to write for a lay audience. So there's lots of different skills that you can actually take, which aren't just about being in the lab.
Yeah, good. But is there a word limit for the personal statement? Please, please, please make them short. I like to see personal statements through about 1 page. I know some people go over to 2 pages, and that's kind of okay, but a 1-page personal statement is perfect. I think others will agree with that. Professional experience section, I don't have experience with something. No, that's not a disadvantage. I think that professional experience section of the application is usually empty anyway. I think not many students have that. What whilst working day to day in the lab, I supervised a PhD. And so each lab, when you're in a project, you've got a primary supervisor. That's usually the group leader, professor, or whoever's in charge of the lab. And you'll also get allocated a day-to-day supervisor. That day-to-day supervisor is the one that's charged with looking after you day to day. That can sometimes be a postdoc in the lab, a PhD student in the lab. It might even be the group leader themselves. Sometimes that's the case. But you will have somebody allocated to you as a second supervisor that will help you in the lab. Does masters make it easier to build relations, get access to PhD? Do students tend to stay at the institute after MRes? Some do. There are PhD opportunities at Imperial, and I think when you've done a master's or an undergraduate at Imperial, you do have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to PhD applications. Not least, you know the environment, you know the people, and you know what you're getting in for when you're applying. Also, we know the quality of, everybody who gets on this course is high quality. We already know that. So going on to PhD afterwards is common. We do have quite a few PhD students that either get awarded the President's Scholarship or some of the other PhD scholarships. There is an MRC DTP, Doctoral Training Program, that you can come on and apply for. So yeah, there's some students stay on. If a student does their project at the Francis Crick or the ICR, I also know of students that have gone on to do their PhD there as well. It's a good opportunity for the lab to meet the person and work with that student before they offer them a PhD position. So I know quite a few students that have got their PhD positions based on that. So yeah, I think it does help. The course run all the way from October to September. Yes, it does. It starts usually the first week of October. That's usually 2nd, 3rd of October, something like that. It runs all the way till the middle of September, where you do so you'll submit your thesis around about the 1st of September. You'll do your last viva on the 15th of September, and then we'll have an exam board, which is usually about a week later. So we're talking 22nd of September, and then you get your degrees conferred not long after that. You get your results from registry. So yes, it goes all the way till the end of September. And I know we've run into issues in the past with students having to start PhDs in September, where they run into a slight issue with that. But that's definitely, it's a 12-month course. Are students really smart? I think, who should we ask? Sarah, can you answer that question?
That's for myself, or would be a narcissist. I think though there's, in my opinion, there's book smart and there's also the ability of applying your skills and developing. Just because you might know the whole syllabus, like the cancer biology book that we get given on the first day, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a good researcher. They're different things.
Yeah, I think my point on this is, I think students are very smart, the ones that we recruit on our course. We do recruit the best of the best. And Imperial has gone up to number 8 in the world, which is impressive. It's you'll hear Imperial academics talking about that.
Can I add to that?
Very proud of that. Ali.
So smart, there's a lot of ways to be what you might call smart, right? There's theoretically smart, there is practically smart, there is quite a diverse way of being a productive, driven scientist, right? And yes, these numbers are all impressive and ranks are impressive, however you believe in them or not. What I found with Imperial, high ranking or not, is this collegiality across different disciplines, this willingness to collaborate across the interface, this willingness to really ask the hard questions and delve into that research in a multidisciplinary way from top to bottom, whether that be a seasoned professor that's internationally renowned to an undergraduate that's just started. Good ideas, right, and driven attitudes are really what I find is driving that that league table, that success, right? So if you are, now what I'm worried about is someone thinking, oh my God, everyone's so smart, I couldn't possibly get to Imperial. Absolutely not. We're certainly we're looking at a diverse range of people to come and learn and do some really interesting science with us.
Sarah.
I think I just want to supplement what I noticed with my course and like other courses as well. Everyone was just very passionate about it and excited to learn. So we're all very different with each other, but we all had like the same drive. Like we want to do research. We want to find out more things about cancer. Like we want to develop. And I think that's very prominent within Imperial at any master's or undergrad.
Yep. I'll just add one last thing is I consider it a very smart move to choose to do your MRes degree at Imperial. Right. I'm going to whip through some of these questions quickly because we're running out of time. Fill up the documents, but on the final, yeah, there's an issue with the application process at the moment. We're aware of that, and we've got computing ICT people helping us with that at the moment. Hopefully that'll be up and running quickly. Quickly go through. If I don't get a place first round, we'll try again. So if you don't get a place initially, we do hold a waiting list. So we might put you on the waiting list, and we usually hold the waiting list at least until the next batch of applications come through. So we'll see the next batch, and if there's people on the waiting list that we want to offer to still, we'll make an offer at that point. So you might hear a little bit later than the batch that you would having experience in next generation. It will be. If you're analyzing sequencing data in informatics, we do that as part of the training. So you'll have a head start on that already. Will a 2-2 degree be considered? Generally not. You need to have exceptional circumstances for us to look at someone with a 2-2 degree. There are sometimes special circumstances that can be taken into account, but generally not. If innovation stream lets students make it more competitive to get into, if that means, is it more competitive to get an offer? Probably not, but I'll let Ali comment on that perhaps.
Yeah, so the MRes cancer biology is what you'll be competing for a place on, right? The individual streams is what you're expressing to be enrolled into. Because this is our first year of running such a bespoke stream, then we're being very conservative with our numbers. We are, as it stands now, we are very impressed actually with the number of applications that are coming through already. So we will make a judgment of the types of numbers we may be able to support. If you're interested in applying for the innovation stream, then and you have particular questions, then James has set those emails up. Drop us a line if you want to go into detail on any of this. But ultimately, no.
All right. The second option, first is cancer biology. You can actually choose, so if you choose cancer biology as your first option, you can choose cancer informatics or innovation as your second option. That will mean if you get rejected from the cancer biology stream, it'll automatically come to informatics and we can consider you for that. I do recommend, if you're really keen on the MRes cancer biology course, doing that is a good idea. Is a high school transcript required? Generally not. I think people often have that information is in the CV, but you don't need to provide that transcript. MRes valid in any countries? Yeah, I believe so. I think, you can get an MRes at Imperial College and then go off to somewhere else, the US or somewhere around Europe, based on that degree. It just depends on your recruiter, where you're getting your job. And the last question, during the 10-month project, how much time is spent working? So it depends on what you mean by that. We have a restriction on master's students that you can only work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Your ID badges don't work in the labs after that. We don't recommend you work on the weekends, but sometimes there's occasions you're running cell culture or some sort of experiment that requires you to come in on a weekend, and you can do that, but you must be accompanied by either your day-to-day supervisor or some other experienced researcher. So master's students aren't allowed to what we call lone working in evenings or during the weekend. So we try to maintain your working hours, but you will work from December all the way up until August, end of August on your projects. So you've got plenty of time in the lab. All right, I think that's the last. Oh, there's one more question. We get access to the recording? Yes, you can. We will save this recording, and I will ask our communications experts, Benji, to upload this to the web. I think they often use, there's an Imperial YouTube channel. I will see if he can circulate that to those that registered, or at least let you know when that's uploaded. Keep a lookout for it. So with that, I'm going to say thank you to everyone for joining us. Thanks for all those questions. That's a lot of great questions. Thanks to Sarah, who joined us to tell us about her experience. Thanks to Ali and Kirill and Annabelle and Mark for joining us as well. Not sure if anyone else from the MRes team is here. And so thank you very much. And we will hope to see your applications coming soon.